your show. We have in the last about 7-8 years implemented IFRS, Ind AS, and we have had implemented 2 rounds of ERPs within the company, and of course the GST now. And I must tell you, amongst all these things which created the maximum amount of flutter, the GST has been the least. One may have been because of the tremendous amount of preparation that we went through in terms of educating ourselves, employing KPMGs and EYs, etc., for a continuous round of education on with the whole lot of people, not only just ourselves, the down the line salespeople, as well as the wholesalers, retailers, not the retailers, one level up. We had prepared ourselves very much so that on the day it was announced, we didn't have too much of flutters. As far as the industry itself is concerned, we were paying about 11.7%. Now it's on 12%. There isn't much that we've suffered, and we did get a little bit of extra inputs from the input credits. So we have just on par. So it's not much of an impact on the industry as such, and more Mr. Marwa will talk on the day-to-day aspects in line with the other gentlemen who have made some remarks. But I want to make a couple of other remarks, and please don't carry this message to Mr. Modi. Of the various countries, I think there is about 149 countries, I think, who have implemented GST so far.
Now it's 157.
157 now. Other than perhaps countries like Malaysia, Singapore, and monarchical kind of structures, most of the democratic countries, I meant just 2 or 3 aside, the government which implemented GST lost the ensuing elections. I don't know what.
It's empirical evidence. Everybody lost.
That's right. So 2019. So if Mr. Modi loses his elections, you can always blame GST on it. Number 2, I was reading a book on Aadhaar by Shankaraya, recently published. The amount of trials, tribulations, short of fist fights, wordy duels, constant shift of stances based on political consideration, all within the same party, within 4 or 5 guys. That's the previous finance minister, previous home minister, previous prime minister, and the prime minister behind the scenes, her son. There's a constant battle. You just can't read anybody's mind and take one step forward, all when it is within the party, within the same government, and it doesn't even have the same amount of customer connect as GST has. Terrible. It is to the credit of not Mr. Modi, but the previous government that they have stuck to it and implemented Aadhaar. And GST is nothing compared to that kind of battles which is being listed by Mr. Shankaraya. That's one thing. Sorry, I'm making general comments only. Specific comments will make a lot. I have been talking to various people at the ground level, right from auto rickshaw fellows to the lorry truck drivers, and various kinds of people, CEOs, CFOs, etc. Big ones, small ones. Hindalco, right at the electronic component level, where his total turnover is 5 and 6 crores. There is a complete disconnect between the feedback from there and what you read in the papers. If you want to be positive about GST, please don't read any of the newspapers anymore, unless he writes the article. There's a complete disconnect. In fact, I met one CBEC, is one of the, he was the chief inspector in the southern zone, Chennai, but he is now taken over. I met him in one of the weddings, and I was asking for some feedback on this one. He said, people in Chindadripet started registering for GST. Chindadripet is the Chowdi Bazaar here types. Nobody registers, everything is in cash. Nobody has paid any taxes for the last 200 years. Everything is in cash. I don't think they have seen any check in the in their lifetime. It is run by only number 2 accounts, and very heavy on money lending. And he was saying even those people have started registering for GST. Which means nearly 50% of the economy which was outside the formal system is now slowly, gradually, getting into the system. And it definitely augurs well for, us. I was talking to one Netherlands government officials. Netherlands has 5% as a base rate for most of the common man goods. Their central convergence rate equivalent to our 18% is 18.5 and 19.5. And they have a 25 or 26% for cars. And they have a 50% for liquor, high-end liquor. The 18.5, 19.5 varies from year to year based on the budget. It can become up to 1.5% play they have, 20 and 22.5, like that. cars manufactured in Netherlands has one rate. Cars manufactured in Germany and transshipped into Netherlands, although it's all part of EU, has another rate. Cars reconditioned in Germany has another rate. Second-hand cars brought from Germany and reconditioned in Netherlands has yet another rate. All these yet another rates are collected through the local equivalents RTO. So, for 4-5 months back, when I was having dinner with them and a couple of colleagues were there and we were heatedly discussing about this, he just popped up and said, "Oh, what are you guys, making so much of noise about 4 or 5 rates? Even a DTC bus conductor on a 10-stage thing has to remember 55 from 2 combinations." He instantly recalls, and he also shifts from one bus to the other after 3 months, 6 months. He doesn't say, no, I'm new, 3 days de do. I'll issue the ticket slowly. No, nothing. On day 1, day 2 is up there. Now, what are we cribbing about these 5 rates or 6 rates? India cannot afford one single rate. You cannot treat the poorest person, his articles of consumption, wage goods, with BMWs and Audis. It has to be different. And believe you and me, other than maybe Singapore and a couple of other countries, there is no country which has single rate. Korea also has a centralized rate of 10%, but it also has super luxury goods, hotels, etc. They have a different rate. They have 3 rates. Australia also doesn't have a single rate. It has a single conversion rate which captures by and large all the items, but they also make a difference. There are various permutations, combinations to this, and I don't think we need to be cribbing about these 5 rates. You're going to refer it for once, that's it. After that, you're not going to every day apply your mind to this one. I think it's too much of noise being made. I think government can live with it, and for a country which has so much of disparities, I had written about it as far back as in 2005 in Business Standard. India cannot have one single rates for the various reasons. My final suggestion is to the GST. They have been extremely listening. So many meetings. He must have spent more time in the their consultations than in our office prior to this one. All the intermediate goods which goes into the manufacture of final goods which are ultimately consumed by the consumers, I think we can have one single rate. You make it 10, 12 or something. But at the final point, we can have differential rates based on your luxury goods or semi-luxury goods, articles of daily consumption, and so on and so forth. So look at the thing overall. The governments today, anywhere in the world, have lost most of their tools in their hands. Trade is out of this one because WTO rules and regulations apply. Fiscal matters is out of their control because fiscal deficit, so many rules and regulations apply. Monetary policy are the only people who seem to have some kind of control, and that's also out of the government control. And I don't know how much of control they themselves have now. So what is the government left with? Government has nothing to change the policies to generate employment or curb the activity or something. And it is time we recognize that the government, elected government, has to have some levers of control with itself to drive the economy. You take that also away, saying one central GST rate of only this much. What is he left with? He will be a bookkeeper. I think it's time we recognize the diversities of India, country like India, which is in the growth path, and make appropriate compromises. That's my request. That's my opening remarks, and